Yo, what's up, Blackish fam? I hope all is well in your corner of the world. Man, we're continuing to do it. A lot of the subscribers have said, yo, you're already on Wolf Piss. You're already doing track 2, track 3. Yo, why don't you just make your way through the entire Garbology album? Yo, we're going to give it a swing. I've only done a handful. The majority of Aesop Rock that we've broken down has been from this album, outside of Mystery Fish, Kirby, and then we did Pizza Alley, but the rest of them have been from this album. And I'm learning more about them as we go. Definitely the most complex lyrics and structure of lyrics that I've ever broken down. But it's exciting. I love Trivial Pursuit. I love crossword puzzles. I love history. So I have a lot of random knowledge. But it seems I haven't had too much of a problem breaking down the general concept. But a lot of the things that he says, it can be interpreted so many different ways, right? It depends on, how you've lived your life, right? Something like Occupy. We went over that over the last track, right? Saying something like Occupy, you can be referring to like Occupy Wall Street. You could be talking about something that's more military in nature. So it just kind of depends on what your point of reference is. We're going to be at All the Smartest People. Let's get right into it. I have the lyrics. The lyrics have been on point with this, so I've been trying to use the same person. It's a group called Bliss Lyric. It doesn't really have many subscribers, but I like the consistency of it. And so far, I haven't heard the first couple times I listened to Aesop Rock, I was hearing one thing and reading another, and it really just throws you off with the breakdown. So this seems pretty straightforward. I'm going to give it a go until he proves me otherwise. Let's check this out. This is All the Smartest People. I really wish there were more videos because, the videos kind of remind me of gorillas or so. I'm happy, feeling glad I got sun. Right? It's kind of got that vibe. So I wish there was more visuals to go off, but I'll take the lyrics. Yeah, it sucks because I'm almost looking at this like this is the video, right? Even though it's just the lyric video.
Recently, my neighbor spotted me casing my own house. I said I only really like to.
Yeah, that's it. For those that aren't from the hood, when you're casing a joint, right, it means you're preparing to break in later. You're walking around looking at possible entryways and areas to take advantage of opportunities that might come up. So if you're casing a house, you're seeing if there's open windows, where the doors are, whatnot.
Recently, my neighbor spotted me casing my own house. I said I only really like to go in when I go out.
You're talking about like an out-of-body experience? I only like to go in when I go out. He could be playing on words, right? When you go in on a track, it's like you just kill it when he goes out. But let's let it ride a bit.
I said I only really like to go in when I go out. You okay, dude? Yeah, you okay? Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Alright. I know every black crow in the city by its first name, and its surname, and its bird call, and its birthday. Look, I ain't cursed. Ran down Maine like a man on fire from a church.
Damn.
She a scalp in a state.
It's funny. He's talking about crows, right? We've heard him talk about owls, right? Falcons, crows. These are all things that have symbolic meaning. I used to read a lot about interpreting dreams, but there's a lot of references that you can go to, or a lot of spiritual references with animals. Like a crow, right? He said a black crow. He said, I know every black crow in the city by its first name and its surname and its bird call and its birthday. He knows these motherfuckers, right? But crows, they show they show up and they let you know that there's spiritual shifts going on, but they remind you to pay attention to spiritual messages that are guided to help you, right? They represent transformation. They represent cycles. They represent other realms, right? Crows are looked at as problem solvers, right? So when you're faced with a challenge and you see a crow, specifically a black crow, there's a symbolic and a more spiritual meaning, right? Think about it like Edgar Allan Poe, right? Nevermore, nevermore. Let's get back to it.
And its surname, and its bird call, and its birthday. Look, I'm cursed. Ran down Maine like a man on fire from a church. Mangy a scalp in a state.
And if he's talking about a scalp mange, mangious, it's kind of like you're a bum, right? It's like it's not taken care of. It's ashy, dandruffy. All like think about a dog that's been in the wild for a while. A lot of times you have to take its coat off because it has mange, right?
Angriest ice in the world. Sun pipes up. Tell me, old man, how is it that you could even know that?
This sounds like my son.
Just know how to measure.
How do you quantify it, right? It's like my son. It's like, how in the world do you know this random stuff? It's like, bro, you think all these white hairs? I didn't even get gray hairs. When I was 30 years old, I got white hairs. I just in my first rodeo, right? I've been around the block and I grew up in, a really tough inner city of Chicago. But you get to know things. I always say it's just like Slumdog Millionaire. He didn't necessarily learn all of those things to be able to answer those questions in the movie. He experienced them. When you experience things, they just are like etched in your mind. But you can reference certain things and you can connect the dots. And if you're already a person that likes reading and studying and just understanding the world around you, it could really be a good thing. It could really be fun. All right, I never would have thought when I was younger crossword puzzles and intense lyrical breakdowns would be fun, but it's a way of kind of challenging yourself to see what you understand.
Ran down Maine like a man on fire from a church. Mangy a scalp in a state. Angriest ice in the world. Sun pipes up. Tell me, old man, how is it that you could even know that? It's not even a thing that scientists
Scientists
know
know
how
how
to
to
measure.
measure.
Gramps like Sonny, I've been all over this motherfucker.
Yeah, for
I
real.
tell you, science ain't the only player in the network.
Woo! That's saying a lot there, right? Because we've heard, especially with the older album we did, Pizza Alley, where he's talking about ayahuasca, right, and these enlightenment journeys from ingesting these drugs that take you to another place. There's a lot of history there, right? A lot of Inca civilizations, things that the way that they used drugs and the way that they controlled and, if you would, manipulated energy and things with these spirits. So if you start to believe in one thing, it just opens this whole world of possibilities that, listen to what he's saying. I can tell you, science ain't the only player in the network. And, I'd like to consider myself a man of science. And I didn't grow up with a lot of religion, but I remember the moment in time when I learned that. I was driving with my friends. I used to go to Northern Illinois University. It's about an hour west of Chicago. And I had this big bubble on my tire. And I remember seeing this white lady on the side of the road, a younger white lady. Don't really recognize her face. I was with all my Chicago, like, longtime friends. And we pull over, like, let's see what she wants. How bad does she want to ride? We're young, 18, 19 years old. We pulled over, and I just immediately just had a bad feeling. So I locked my door on this, like, old 94 Nissan Sentra. And the lady's just lifting up on the door handle. And I'm just like, pull off like shit. And we had to go maybe 5 seconds, if that. And you hear, boom, and our tire blew. And I'm like, oh, man, this girl's going to come fuck with us. And we got to listen to her bullshit. She's probably some crackhead. We get out and she's nowhere to be seen. And my buddy, he starts working on the tire. And we're just sitting there. And I'm inquisitive, right? I'm the one that's like, it's like cornfields when you drive down I-88 West. And I'm like looking like, okay, I'm trying to be reasonable. Like maybe she thought it was a gunshot and thought that, and just dove into the cornfields. But there wasn't any sign that anything was disrupted. There was literally nowhere she could have went. And we were trying to look out to see if any cars might have came by because all we had was a donut. Luckily, it was a really small car. And we figured it out. But we can 100% say that not a single car passed in the same direction. And we're sitting there, and my friend, the one that's more religious, was like, hey, if that lady wasn't there and we didn't stop the car, we were going about 80 miles an hour. if that tire would have blew, we would have lost control of the car and possibly flipped over where people wouldn't have been able to find us or access us right away. And I started thinking, and I was like, man, if there was a God and a God truly knew me, there's only a few things in this world I would have pulled over for. And bitches would have been one of them at that time, right? And it changed I couldn't explain it. And I always look for a scientific reason. I always I tried so hard to look for something, and I actually walked into a church that weekend. And I just try to, not be naturally skeptical and try to understand. I really struggle with my faith, and I don't understand a lot about religion. But that was the moment that I realized that there's something bigger than me. I don't know if it's the all-seeing God in the sky or which God it is or deity or I don't know. But I know that something changed for me that day when I started realizing that science isn't the only player in the network, right? So it's just really interesting that he says that because you could tell something happened to him, right? Is that Sonny? I've been all around this motherfucking roadmap. I done seen some shit, right? That you can't always explain.
Roadmap. I can tell you science ain't the only player in the network. Y'all should have seen a boy face. Nothing like a smug young punk realizing what his counterpoint ain't. The smartest people that I know seem to teeter in a paranoid state.
That is true. You know what? That's from a movie. That's from, where have I heard that? All the smartest people that I know seem to teeter in a paranoid state. Man, that's such an awesome line. I don't think that's his line, but he's referencing it from somewhere, and I just cannot think of it for the life of me. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have heard that before. I don't know if it. I want to think of, what was that movie with the girl that eventually turned to a boy? Was it smart people? Smart. I don't know if that's where it was, but it's such a true statement, right? If once there's actually it's a gift and a curse, because like I don't consider myself smarter than the next person, but I used to read. A lot of people say that you read actual books. Yeah, I've read books. I like researching stuff. I like telling kids to use your phone. It does a lot more than Fortnite and gaming or Angry Birds. I'm probably dating myself with that, but it's like I like to research stuff, and it's like the more you know, the more that you realize you don't know. But it's actually, I study constitutional law at Northern Illinois University. And when you start understanding and you start diving into things and you start looking at things like the Patriot Act and how that affects our freedoms and due process and, things like that, it's scary because you do become paranoid because you understand how fragile our society is. So I think it's just really interesting that he says that, but I like his approach, right? Because he's not saying he's the smartest person. He's saying, the smartest people seem to teeter in a paranoid state. When you start to learn more, you start to realize how much you don't know and how much intellectuals of this world don't know, how much is pieced together. And it's actually quite scary, right? When you think about there's places in the world that man still hasn't stepped, right? We've only explored so much of the ocean, let alone the moon, right? And it's like there's just some things that we don't have a good grasp on, and I don't know if in our lifetime we ever will. But technology will eventually catch up with that, and we'll go through a phase when we can travel a little bit further or push the boundaries of what man can do today.
Point A. All the smartest people that I know seem to teeter in a paranoid state. You can know it all and never know you haven't actually departed point A.
Yeah.
Wait. You saying this a B? No, I'm saying you won't ever need to limit the addition when you're free.
Ooh.
So, what do you do when you get to Z?
He said you won't even need to limit the addition when you're free.
There's not a chance. I am not officially a ghost. Invisible and slamming all the doors. A paranormal scrambling of phones. Look, there's not a day. A number isn't cupped in his hands. It's slowly reaching up into the sky. It's fluctuating under my command. Look, I don't use shortcuts. Don't use pace cars.
Those are those cars going like in NASCAR, right? With the flag when you pull over for a pit stop.
Cut through a graveyard just to cut through another graveyard just to cut through another graveyard. He's no longer on the radar.
That's like for the police, right? He's no longer on the radar. We've lost him. Yo, I like this one. It was different, a different vibe from like Wolf Piss and some of the other ones. It definitely. I don't want to say that it wasn't complex, but there wasn't a lot to this. You could tell we're only 15 minutes in, but the song itself is just over 2 minutes. It's more or less kind of like an intro, if you would. But I still like it, but it wasn't my fave so far, right? I like something that's more complex. There's more to it. Even though he did say a lot there, and there's definitely a few quotables from this as well.